come and sit in the front row. So even though this is a public acknowledgement and affirmation, and we are all speaking together, I also wanted to, it's personal for me, and I wanted to be able to speak to Janice directly as well. But it's not just me. Our dear friend and brother, Dr. Charles Coleman, he lives in about 9 places these days, I'm told, and he's not in New York at the moment, but he wanted to make every effort to be here and be a part of this, and he has written in some words that I will read on his behalf, and this will give you a sense of what we're doing here today, honoring Janice. By the way, Professor Grasso said before, was it 40 years?
43.
43 years. And I'm not doing this to embarrass you or date you, Sister Cline, but I mean, that's the Carter administration. I mean, this sister was here since, she's seen a lot in her time. A lot of water under the bridge, right? It was my math wrong. We're going back. That's right. We're even before Carter. Well, let's go with Carter because I know I'm not embarrassed to share some of her political proclivities, and I think Carter may be a little closer to you. She's retired, so I can talk about it. Charles Coleman weighs in with these words for Sister Cline. Janice Cline, tireless voice for ... The above could be completed in many ways. Here are just a few. Janice Cline, tireless voice for students. Initially hired by Venus March to teach reading in the then SEEK program, Search for Education, Elevation, and Knowledge, Janice Cline was a tireless defender of students' rights. This was in the 1970s. Janice Cline was a tireless defender of student rights. Reading, remedial and developmental writing, and at least 7 counselors were budgeted through the SEEK Academic Development Department. Janice fought tirelessly in curriculum development and pushed for college-wide recognition for the department. In the 1990s, she spoke against and demonstrated against CUNY's version of rolling back open admissions, the elimination of remedial and developmental courses at 4-year CUNY colleges. When academic developmental faculty were absorbed into the English and Social Sciences department, she continued to fight for student-centered curriculum. Janice was one of the founders of York College's unique cultural diversity program, later serving as the program coordinator. And when the university usurped faculty prerogative and imposed the current CUNY First curriculum, she continued to speak against, organize, against, and protest. When Citibank Corporation sought a contract to have student IDs issued in the form of a Citibank card, she teamed with Professor Peter Rannis to fight against this dangerous precedent. Maybe you're already seeing, students, some of the ways that her work is affecting what you do here. Janice Cline, tireless voice for faculty rights. As York's PSC delegate, Janice Cline fought against the university's circumvention of contract negotiations by imposing 3-hour, 3-credit limits on course offerings, effectively increasing faculty workload without a negotiated salary increase. She fought for a clean, safe, and intimidation-free work environment. She even took on the university chancellor to fund our current faculty resource room. Why does that not surprise me? Janice Cline, tireless voice for human rights. Janice and her husband Brent fought for and worked with homeless and incarcerated women and men, sometimes opening their home to them. Both have also marched and demonstrated many times against injustices such as police brutality. Janice Cline, tireless musician, kicking with the York College Jazz Ensemble. Under the direction of Professor Tom Slavinger, Janice Cline rehearsed and practiced tirelessly, first on her clarinet and later on alto sax, to help provide us with professional level jazz concerts. And finally, but certainly not least, Janice Cline, tireless friend. Those of us whom she befriended are forever enriched and grateful for her care, honesty, and love. Sincerely, Chuck.
Aww.
are missing his bearing, his voice. I call it the Coleman shuffle. and he really does. He's very pleased to be here, even though he's
I'm so grateful that he is.
indeed. I'll let him know. And my own comments, because we are actually doing something official here today. We're doing something very special in our department. Today, we are dedicating an award. And in doing so, we are honoring our colleague and friend and sister, Janice Cline. The award is being called the Janice Cline Award. We're still wrestling with the title a little bit. Most engaged student, most involved student, most active student, something along those lines. And it will be given periodically during our year-end award season to a student who demonstrates a high level of commitment to the life of our department beyond the academic realm. It's an interesting sort of award. While most of our awards focus on things like grade point averages and professors' attestations of students' academic excellence, the Janice Cline Award will go to a student who we think is demonstrating an exceptional use of their education in ways that affect lives outside of the classroom. And I can think of no better way for our department to acknowledge Janice's legacy, the effect she has had on us, than to talk about and recognize students. Her students and their academic descendants in our department who go on outside of the classroom and put what they are getting in the classroom to some good use. Students who use their schooling to make contributions to our department and to the planet and help somebody be more human. I've known Janice for many years, ever since I've been here at York. I've always regarded Janice as a mentor, as that kind of person who was just there in my world in some way, who I could always go to if I had a question. I've always been grateful to have a person like her in my life, and I try not to let a day go by when I don't remind myself to be grateful to have that kind of friend. We should all be so lucky. And over the past few days, when I was thinking about the many things that I love and admire about Janice, of the many beautiful words that kept coming into my mind. Words like power, commitment, dedication, sacrifice, selflessness, generosity, intelligence, talent, beauty. One word that rested with me as much as any other was integrity. It's a rare thing in the American workplace when someone can actually make their bread doing things that they want to do with their life. As professors, we are lucky in this way. We have jobs that allow us to work with you all, to marry our work with our life. But not all of us actually do that. And dare I say that none of us do that as gracefully and as completely as Janice has done. I'm sure all of you can fill in the specifics for yourself, as Professor Coleman has done. I'm speaking in some generalities here. But Janice is a magnificent teacher. I was just talking with a colleague just this afternoon who was talking about how careful a reader of students' work Janice is. How we can always recognize someone in our classes who has been taught by Janice because that student can write. Many of you are, of course, familiar with Janice's tireless work with our union, struggling on so many levels and in so many ways to make our lives at work here at York better. And there is so much more to Janice's life work away from her place of employ, far more than this short affirmation can cover. I'm reminded of that Isley Brothers tune, if you want to get into something, you pick the right time, come on and follow me. That's Janice. The Isley Brothers wrote that in honor of the Kent State. It was one of the songs they wrote in honor of the Kent State students who were murdered and injured that day when the National Guard fired on them. Makes me think of Janice and her work. My point is that Janice has tried with every ounce of her strength to make her ideas, her dreams of justice and equality real in the lives of her students and colleagues and in the conditions that all of us work under here at York College and elsewhere throughout the City University of New York and here in New York City and in these here United States and on this planet Earth that we call home. I've understood that Janice has been rather emphatic about not having retirement parties and all sorts of to-do in her honor. I'm reminded of Dr. King talking about how he doesn't want anybody remembering his degrees and prizes and all of his official accomplishments in the world, but rather how he wants people to be able to honestly say that he tried to help somebody in this life, and to love and serve people, and to be a drum major for justice. We know that is Janice. That is Janice. It is an incredible legacy that she has left with us, and it is still growing. We know that it is the least we can do, but we are proud to honor this legacy by dedicating the Janice Cline Award in our department, honoring a student who uses her or his experience studying with us and commits that experience to serving something that is larger than all of us. I know that these are qualities that Janice holds dear, and I am humbled by the opportunity to give Sister Janice this little affirmation as we dedicate this award. Thank you. Actually, I'm going to interrupt you for a second because you will get to say something. But there is one more person who wants to say something before you say something. And that person is going to be represented by our dear sister.
Unfortunately, a very important person could not be here today, but he did send me these kind words. He wanted everybody to hear them. He says, I'm very proud that a York College English Department Award has been named after my dear wife, Janice Cline. Her dedication to York students is one of the reasons I love her so much. I have been privileged to witness her steadily for many years. While I am sorry that a previous commitment prevented me from being present today, I want to publicly salute her for her service as a teacher, her passion as a union leader, and her beauty as a wife. Sincerely, Brent.
I want to say, no, the reason my husband can't be here is because we didn't plan enough in advance, but he had a very important meeting tonight with Rhymefest, who wrote the song Glory, that was in the Academy, that was in the Grammys, and it was a rare opportunity because my husband is very much involved in hip-hop theater in relation to Broadway. And so it's an important thing, and I was glad that he went there. I mean, it's one of the things that's helped us both because we both have lives that we support one another, but as he always says, we're not joined at the hip, but we are. So I want to get to thank Mychal Namphy and Charles Coleman and my husband for the beautiful things that were said and for thinking of me for this award. I hope to live up to and deserve the beautiful things that were said. And it's true that when I decided to retire from full-time last spring, I honestly felt that I would get so emotional if anything occurred that I wouldn't be able to take any kind of acknowledgement or anything, because one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life is stop being full-time at York. I love York students, and I now teach as a part-timer and continue to play in the York College Big Band. Our first concert that you could come to is right in this room next Wednesday night, and I think it starts at 7 o'clock, and it's going to be great.
They're good. Check them out.
But I am here all these years only because of York students. I feel having the privilege to teach you has been the honor and pleasure of my life. And I don't ever want to
Thank you, Mychal Namphy. Thank you, Janice. Janice, we actually have some cake in your honor, which Heather has been, has been cutting. So for the students as well as the cake, we also have the traditional book grab, which is when you grab a book, it's kind of like a little gift from the department. So those are over there on the table.